everybody, and welcome back to AEC Today Reports. I'm Latasha Hewitt, and I'm so happy that you joined us. We're so excited because we get to hear from more of our pastors about the wonderful things that are going on in our AEC churches. We're out there in the community, serving the community. We're being innovative about how we're staying connected to our members, and it's so encouraging during this time. And we're also going to end with our health segment about strength training, how we can stay strong during this pandemic. So, after this quick break, we'll be right back with all of that.
The Youth and Children's Ministry invites you to our Ask the Executives talk show this Sunday, May 3rd at 6 p.m. Our Pathfinder Adventure Children's Ministries Bible Bowl Master Guide Executives will be taking your calls live on the air. We will also receive your comments or questions in our chat room. We value you and your ideas, so please spread the word and let's connect.
Thank you for staying tuned to AEC Today Reports, and we are back, and we have with us Pastor Henry Davis. How are you doing, Pastor Davis?
I'm doing fine. So glad to be a part of this opportunity to share. Thank you so much.
No problem, and we're glad that we can talk to you about what Berean Church in Newark, New Jersey is doing. We know they were recently featured MSNBC because of the food distribution efforts you guys are doing. Talk to us a little bit about, before we get to what happened this past weekend, talk to us about you all's food pantry. When you first came to the church, what was the status of the pantry?
When I first came into the church, actually they had closed down the pantry, which was one of the strongest ministries that they had going. And for some particular reasons, they had shut it down for an opportunity, I guess, to reassess it, try to rebuild it, put it together. At least that's the thing that I got when I first went and did my church analysis, being a new kid on the block. So, and after discussing it with the leaders and the team that was running the pantry, I come to find out that it was a pretty strong ministry and that many people in the community was benefiting from it. And so what we said that we were going to do, we voted to do, is we're going to put a manual in place so that we have directives telling us exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it's not going on somebody's opinion. So once we put the manual in place, we made all the legwork that needed to be done with the organizations that would provide the food and partner with them. And that was pretty easy because they have been strong all the while in the team. A lot of the companies were wondering what happened. So
right. This is great. I mean, I like to hear about the manual. I don't hear about that too often, but I think it does create some sense of order.
Oh, yeah.
Team flowing properly.
It deals with what organizations we're allowed to communicate with, inventory, processes of how we distribute food, signatures needed, the whole gamut, the whole thing. So it gives us a sense of
so, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
No, I was just going to say, so before this pandemic happened, you guys were operating pretty much every other weekend. Was that the schedule?
Every second, fourth Sunday, we have pantry.
Okay, and
Thursday of the week we pick up.
Okay.
Pick up and restock. Yeah.
Okay, and on average,
we've been doing this now for a couple of years.
Okay, at least a couple of years. And you were serving approximately how many families every other Sunday?
We serve, oh my goodness, we serve at least about 200 to 250, sometimes 300.
Oh, wow. Okay.
My community service team is just tremendous under the leadership of Felice Williams and the Federation president, which is her husband, James Williams III. Just tremendous. Just tremendous.
I always say it takes special people to lead community. So you really have to have a heart.
Matter of fact, if you could recollect the time we had the bus come in and doing tutorials, all that was tied with the pantry.
Oh, wow.
We doing tutorials at one end, and on the other end, we had food distributing for the community. So it's a big thing.
That's excellent.
Major ministries in our church.
All right, Berea. Okay, so now with the pandemic, of course, the need has increased.
Yes.
And so how has Berean stepped up to the plate with this increased need?
Well, we was doing second and fourth, and the organizations that distribute food to us, they began to ask us, could we consider what they wanted to give us more food. and people were asking us for more food themselves in the community. You know, we got needs of not being able to take care of their families because a lot of them are furloughed or don't have jobs. So food is primary. So my team came to me. Well, they called and said, Pastor, we're being asked, could we do this every Sunday? And my first thing was, yeah, my heart says yes, but first I
Right.
want to know what the team could do because, you know, it's not everybody that can be involved in it. It's about 10
Exactly.
people involved in it, making it happen. And they all agreed, said, yes, we want to do this. And next thing we know, we're doing it
Every Sunday.
yeah, every,
Like,
since March, we've been doing it every Sunday.
okay, and you haven't seen the line slowing down, so the need is still there.
No, actually, when the company came out, MSNBC came out and interviewed us. They spent the whole day with us, and when we
Wow.
closed down, we still had people coming, and they saw
Wow.
that. They're like, wow, people are still coming wanting bags of food, and we ran out.
And that was after how many hours of
That's after
distribution?
about 3.5 hours.
Wow.
3.5 hours.
Wow.
We ran out. We started. Well, we met. The team meets at 7, and we have prayer, and then we organize everything, and then we start distributing about 8 o'clock.
So you mentioned MSNBC coming out there. What was it like to kind of have some national coverage of what, you know, your little old church in Newark, New Jersey is doing?
It was a lot of excitement with the team. When they brought it to my attention that the MSNBC wanted to do some interviews of us, they said, Pastor, what do you think? What? I said, yeah, we can do that. And so I talked with the punt lady and her team, and I told her, you all can shoot. You can come inside the church, take a shoot, do what you need to do. But I told them, I want to be in the background.
Uh-huh. I saw that they quoted you, but we didn't see. I said Pastor Davis probably opted to be off camera, but
well, my thing is I'm a servant leader. I prefer the team there. I want them to be the one highlighted. Because they're the one that's really making it happen. I come in and give my insights where I can, but they are the one that's doing the work, man. I appreciate them. That's just the way I operate.
I understand, and I'm sure they appreciate you because a lot of these community service projects, people want to do them, but if they don't have the support of their pastor, it's hard for them to work through that red tape.
And I love Berean. This is one of the uniquest churches I've pastored. Diverse. We have about 13 different nationalities we're dealing with.
Awesome.
On a constant. So the challenges are interesting, but it's fun. Everybody, now that I'm there and they've embraced me as pastor, I've become pastor. When you first go there, you're not pastor.
Yeah, you're
pastor,
still,
but you're not my pastor.
Right.
And now I'm becoming their pastor, and it's just wonderful.
And I think things like this, serving the community, kind of bring you together with your congregation, seeing how everyone's rallying.
Yes, matter of fact, one of the store owners, he has a karate shop karate school across the street. He comes over, and then the barbershop comes over. The guy, all of them involved in our pantry.
Wow!
Right there on the shoot, he's right there distributing food and everything. I said, you know what? I'm gonna make you a deacon yet. He said, "You make me a deacon?" I said, yeah. He said, well, okay, I'm gonna have to work on that one. I said, yeah, man, I'm appreciating you. It's just been a good match with the community for us.
That's awesome. And that's good because we always want our churches to be known beyond, that church over there. So for the other businesses to see what the church is doing and then want to partner.
I didn't know he's a Muslim.
Oh.
He's a Muslim. So he goes, do you know I'm a Muslim? I said, yeah, but I'm going to make you a deacon. You just keep on. That one. He said, okay, we're going to work on it. I said, yeah.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. We got to friend them first,
Yeah. Well, awesome.
Thank the Lord for the opportunity to serve, be able to give food. People are hurting. People are really hurting. I even had some individual approach me and said, Pastor, we're supposed to give food to the community, but we give church members getting food too. And I told him, I said, look, church members are part of the community. Well, you can't separate them from the community. So a lot of folk ain't going to tell you that they're hurting.
Right. Or they're in need.
Or their needs. They're not going to do it. But folk are really hurting. They don't know where their bills, how they're going to pay their bills and what's the next thing. And then the death toll is just, it's
heavy. Yeah. Particularly in New Jersey.
Yeah. We're right next to New York City. So we're right there, number 2 at Epicenter. So it's been interesting. There have been challenges. I actually live out in central Jersey, so I have to travel in. And where I am, it's total Hasidic Jews, and so it's hard to travel. They want police is on lockdown out here because they still try to do things that they're not supposed to do.
So, okay, so they're patrolling more
out here, but it's been good. It's been good.
Okay, well, like I said, we're so happy that you guys at Berean are relieving some of the strain and stress that this pandemic has caused individuals, not just your community, but even your own church family. So we applaud you for what you're doing, and you deserve to be recognized on MSNBC.
Well, I tell you what,
we're proud of you guys.
We're on the same team. We all doing it in Jesus' name. Thank God for the Allegheny East Conference administration and all of you. We're the same team. What we do is us.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining us. And we ask that you'll stay with us for a quick break, and we'll be right back. Okay. Welcome back to AEC Today Reports. We have with us another special guest, Pastor George Howard. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Pastor Howard pastors 2 of our churches in Virginia. You want to shout out those 2 churches right now?
Franklin, First Franklin, and Capernaum in Suffolk. Franklin's in Franklin, and Capernaum's in Suffolk.
All right. Yes. Good old Virginia.
Yes.
So tell us how you and your churches have been coping during this time. How are you staying connected? How do you come together?
Okay. We always had the conference call in Franklin. That's my smaller church. And when I got there, they used that for their prayer meeting on Tuesday nights. And when I got there, we enhanced it a little bit, made it a little more user-friendly for some of the members. And as soon as we went into this pandemic, we immediately got both churches to engage, and it's been very successful. Both churches call in. We have on Tuesday nights the regular prayer meeting, and members are assigned for each Tuesday night. I'm not always doing it. We have the members call in, and they do the prayer requests, they do the testimonies, they do the devotional, and that's been working real well. We upped the service. We have Sabbath school on Friday night at 8 o'clock.
Okay, that's nice.
And I thought that it probably would be too much having too much programming on one night, especially conference calling. So we started the Sabbath school Friday night, and I didn't know how that was going to go, but that turned out to be a hit. People who don't go to Sabbath school normally, you start at 10 o'clock, 9:30, and the stragglers just come in and make it by 11 o'clock. But we have most of our members, and we have guests. Their relatives and friends are tuning in because this has been so new to everybody to connect to a service and to a church and to members on the conference call. So that's been pretty much successful. So we took it to the Sabbath service.
Okay.
Sabbath at 11 o'clock. So we're doing 3 different things, and it's working real well. And I'm sharing my role as pastor. I have my elders; they speak on it too. So it gives everybody a chance to feel like they own it. And I'm finding that's the best way to do it. So it's going real well.
That sounds like it. I really love the Sabbath school on Friday night. I think sometimes we get stuck in keeping things the way we used to do them. But,
yes.
I mean, Sabbath school lesson can be studied any day of the week. And
yes.
Friday, you wrapped up the end of the week anyway. So why not? So
that's been real successful. We have alternate teachers, which works real well. About 4 or 5 teachers are alternating. And I've had a couple of guests come in and listen, and they enjoy it. And some of the members from other churches have participated. So, it brings fresh air to Sabbath school, and it makes it more exciting because, we're listening, we have to
Right.
pay attention to what we hear. And, you get used to all the members' names and their voices. And that makes it really exciting because, when they say hello, happy Sabbath or whatever, who's on the line.
Right.
So, that's been one of the best features for this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. That's awesome. So, one of the things that we're really missing as we're not congregating in our churches is the church potlucks that we were so
Yes.
accustomed to after church. So
Yes.
your church decided not to let that kind of die, but found a
Nope.
way to do it virtually. Can you explain to us how you guys did that? I think that's
Well,
great.
I'm always trying to, keep everybody on the edge and make them enjoy what we're doing. So I decided Sabbath that I was going to introduce, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I said, let's do virtual potluck. And I explained what that was. I said, you prepared a meal and all of that. I said, let's see what you have prepared. And I said, 2:30, 3 o'clock. That's a hit deadline. If you can let us see what you have by that time. I know that would give them enough time because our 11 o'clock service starts at 11. We're finished by 12:15, and they get their meal together, and next thing you know, my phone stopped, blowing up, and I saw what they were fixing, and it just was exciting to see the food and how excited they were. One thing I learned that who were the cookers, who prepared food.
You saw some of those plates.
I found out that, and all the members didn't participate, but they saw they saw the text and they saw the food, and they saw, wow, maybe I should have done something. I think a lot of people cook, but you know how we are. Some people are vegetarian, some people aren't, and they figure like what they eat, they don't need to show it, but
they didn't want to tell on themselves.
Yes, but there were people who had chicken, and I said, well, they get hung up on it.
Judgment here. We just
I try to get relaxed, the congregation. I say, hey, it is what it is. You eat what you eat. But it was great. It was great to see the variety of food and how they prepared it and how they showcased it and how they took pictures of it before they got started. And it just was an exciting venture that we tried. Yeah.
I love it because, like you said, there's so many variations of different types of meals.
Yes.
Looking at the pictures, you saw that some just had sandwich and fries.
Yeah.
Some had like a 6-course meal.
Yes. Like I have some members who are from the islands. And they fix their meals. It's very tasty, and it was just great seeing how they had prepared it. And just a short notice, just between the time service ended and about an hour and a half. I was really surprised.
Well, I think if you guys do it again, it's gonna.
Oh yes.
Get even more exciting because now more people are going. Oh, let me show them what I'm going to cook.
Yeah. A lot of members called and told me that was creative and they liked it, but they didn't do it.
Right, but they like to see it. So anything you can do to kind of make people take their minds off of what's going on around them and focus on something positive just for a few moments.
Yes, because everybody likes to eat. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a good idea. And the fact that your two churches are kind of doing these types of things together, have you seen them come a little closer, the two churches?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen it. Well, I can be frank. People from different churches don't always mesh together. They have their own particular interests and that sort of thing. But this has really helped our members engage one another. I have like Sabbath, I have Sabbath school, and I have 3 or 4 different members from the different churches participating, and I interchange that and engage all of them, so they all are working together. Where it would be impossible because I'm driving to this church one Sabbath, I'm driving to the other church. But now, since we're coming together, it's a little easier to get them involved. Yes.
Love that. I mean, if there's anything that can happen out of this, seeing people become a little bit more connected, I think is one of the bright sides of it.
Yes.
And they can also tell that, you're consistent, that you're not giving the one church one side of you and the other one. They're all seeing you at the same time.
But I tell you, I'm thinking about down the road how we can gain from this.
Yes.
and not lose this, because some very important things have come out of what we have done, and I would hate to see us go back and just well, you do what you do over there, you do what you do over there. So I think it was a good opportunity, this pandemic, in bringing the churches together, getting the members to see that they all need each other. Prayer meeting, they are praying for one another. We're finding out all kinds of needs that we have, and they see that, hey, your needs are just like my needs.
Right.
We all need Jesus. We all need to pray. So we've had some deaths in our congregations over the last month or so, and it's been a little different, because we're not having funerals. People are having those separate services, small with their families. So it is unique that we can't touch and see and get together like we used to. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm so happy to hear that. It's always good to hear from our churches and seeing how everyone's kind of managing during this crisis. But I see that your churches are finding a way to come together, be creative, and stay connected. So we applaud you for leading those type of efforts in Virginia.
Yes. I have two good churches. One of them is a challenge, but hey, that's what all the work is about. I like challenge. I would be bored if I didn't have it. Working with people, all kinds of personalities, and you try to meet the needs of your churches, and we're doing the best job God can expect from us. Yes.
Amen. Thank you so much, and thank you, Pastor Howard, for taking the time to talk to us about what's going on down there. We appreciate the report.
Okay, thank you for allowing me to share it.
No problem. And thank you for tuning in. We'll have a quick break, and then we'll be right back with AEC Today Reports. Hey guys, just want to give you a few quick reminders about some of the important initiatives Allegheny East has going on at this time. Number one, we hope that you're praying every day at noon with us and 3 times a day. Secondly, our mask initiative, Operation Mask 2020. We're trying to distribute at least 2,020 masks within our territory by May 31st. Check out our website for how you can get involved. Thirdly, we have a lot of our schools who transition, all of our schools, to distance learning, and there's some students who still need technology in order to be able to get their work done. We're asking for donations for that. Also, check it out on our page. And lastly, if you have lost someone due to the COVID-19 virus, our president wants to reach out to you. We ask that you fill out the form on our homepage so he has the opportunity to reach out to your family during this time. Just a little bit of what we're doing to help lessen the load and to help others during this time of COVID-19. So check all of those initiatives out. We'll see you next time. Everyone, we thank you for staying tuned to AEC Today Reports, and we're back now with a very special guest. That's Pastor William Talifero. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Wait, I called you William. You go by what?
I go by whatever they call William, Nick, Bill.
Wait, it just sounds too formal.
I know. I mean, everybody calls me Nick now, but trust me, I get called a whole lot of things.
Well, first of all, how are things going with you and West Church during this pandemic and this time being away from each other?
Of course, I miss my children. I mean, I'm pastoring West because of the children. The children are the ones who got me. Mm-hmm. I never intended to pastor another one of our churches, but the children at West are magic. I mean, they got me. And so I miss my children. Okay. I also miss my fellow worshipers more than I can say. I'm really surprised at how much I missed them. I got to tell you. But in the absence of our full constitution as a worshiping congregation, something really spiritual is happening. There's a organic living connection being formed by people, and it's fulfilling. It's rewarding, and we're gaining people in absence. But beyond that, the ministry of the church is going on as though we are meeting there every day. It's amazing. That's what's bringing us together today.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's one thing many are learning about this pandemic is it's actually providing an opportunity for more connection that we didn't have when we were coming together every weekend. So
one of the things we've learned is that the pandemic has caused us to escape the tyranny of the imposition of walls. Walls define who you are based upon who they separate you from.
Wow.
The absence of the walls are forcing us to build bridges. And it is creating a completely different, it's creating a web of mutuality. And Martin Luther King talked about an inescapable web of mutuality that ties us in a garment of destiny. And it's creating that. It is forcing that upon us. I mean, this pandemic does not ask what you are. It doesn't ask your generation. It doesn't ask your sectarian beliefs. It simply says either I will kill you or you will learn how to support one another.
Mercy.
And that's what's happening, you know.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And you mentioned supporting one another. We've been talking to several of our pastors who have food pantries and are able to do food distribution. But West recently had the opportunity to impact the community and support the community in another very practical way. Can you share about that opportunity?
You know, and yes, and leading into it, when you speak about the food pantries, last Wednesday, I mean, we do this every Wednesday. Last Wednesday, we served 134 families in food. But the real thing that was so unique and different during this pandemic, we are discovering the disproportionate impact of the coronavirus on communities of color, specifically Black communities, specifically poorer Black communities.
Yeah.
It was discovered that the West Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church sits in the heart of one of the biggest target zones of the uptick in infection when it comes to the COVID-19 virus, 19139 in the city of Philadelphia. A Dr. Ayla Stanford, who is a pediatric surgeon, who of course now is not doing as much because everything has slowed down, was saying, why aren't we getting more testing to people? And she just kept agitating. And finally she decided to do something about it. Along with her pastor, Marshall Mitchell, who is a pastor of the Salem Baptist Church, who calls himself the most Adventist Baptist pastor that you'll ever find. He does. That's what he calls himself.
I love that.
He's my friend. Marshall the man is a visionary. He's a Renaissance man. He called me and said, listen, man, we want to start doing testing in neighborhoods. Would you and your church be willing to help out? Say no more.
Awesome.
Crack the whip. We make that trip. We'll be there. April the 26th, just yesterday on Sunday, in a driving rainstorm, we determined to have free testing for members of our community for the virus that causes COVID-19. The testing was to start at 10:30. I got to church at 8:15 to make sure everything was straight. When I got to church, the cars were lined up down the street around the corner at 8:15.
Wow.
By 10 o'clock, the parking lot was full. And we chronicled all of this with photography.
Okay, great.
Medical doctors were there, nurses were there, medical students were there under the auspices of a group called the Black Physicians COVID-19 Coalition, directed by Dr. Ayla Stanford. And they began the testing. The people were so grateful just to be able to come in to get testing. Now, what we've discovered is this. They tested in another church not too far from ours, in an area that's not quite as active as ours as far as infection. They tested 316 or so people. 106 of them had the disease or had the virus.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so we're talking about 1/3 of the people being tested have this virus, which means even if they're asymptomatic, they have the potential and the capacity to spread it to other people who have more vulnerable circumstances.
This is true.
And in our community, we don't know. The city of Philadelphia has only tested 3,500 people since the pandemic. Dr. Stanford and her crew, free of charge, has tested well over 1,000 already in less than 10 days. Government is failing us when it comes to equipping us to be informed as to what our vulnerabilities are. And as in all things, communities of color, disproportionate, will be impacted by those failures.
I think it's really awesome that Dr. Stanford had this vision and was able to kind of pull together several doctors who were willing to be a part of it. So what was the scene like? I know he said it was raining. Were you able to do it outside, or did you have to bring it inside?
That's a really good question. I mean, because initially when we started, the idea was to have a car caravan. First it was a car caravan, then it was, well, the doctors will go to the cars when it looked like it might start raining. But then I said, then you're going to get wet. So what we did was, the way West Church is deployed geographically and physically, we have a fellowship hall that has two large doors that open onto the parking lot. We opened both doors, and it was like McDonald's for medical testing. Drove up, you got the test, you drove out. And then we put up a canopy in a tent so that we can have another third line, because it was that many people there. And inside, the people did not come in, and we did have some walk-ups. So we had an alcove where chairs were so that people could be seated. But on the inside, it was like you would have thought that our church was a hospital. Everyone was gowned and garbed and with proper PPEs.
Great.
And records were being kept, labels on tests, and people were calling individuals who had taken tests previously to inform them as to what their status was. I listened to some of the calls being made to people as doctors would tell them, you took a test on last Thursday, and we want you to know that you have come back positive. And just to listen to them minister to people. I have never been so proud to be the pastor of a church in my life than to be in that building. My deacons there making sure that they were straight. It was a magnificent lending of heart and hand to a crying, necessary situation in our community. It was I gotta tell you, it was magnificent.
I love to see our churches become involved in practical ways. I mean, it's one thing to pray. It's one thing for us to do our part in social distancing, but to then take the initiative to actually help with the actual pandemic that's going on, and recognizing, like you said, that our communities don't have the access to the testing like some of the other communities, and to be part of that, I mean, it's completely amazing. And so you're telling us what it was like to be around there. So it seems like the process, did they share with them when they would get the results back from?
Yeah, the results typically come back within 48 hours. Someone will call you and let you know. If that's not enough, you can check in with LabCorp, put in your information, and the status of your test will be made available to you based upon the information you provide to them, so that you'll know. I mean, one of the problems that's been occurring around the country is that people would take tests and not get results back.
Right.
Which by that time they've been typhoid Mary, infecting everybody and their cousin and their mom and them, as we say down south. And so this comes back relatively quickly. For example, on last Monday, the pastor of the largest church in Philadelphia, actually, I think the state of Pennsylvania, Reverend Dr. Alan Waller, who's one of our pastor's father-in-law.
Right.
Alan's a friend. I mean, I helped perform his daughter's wedding. I've known him for years. He's a friend, and they were testing at his church, and he wanted people to know that it's not the worst thing in the world. He decided to get a test first so that he would show them what it was like. 2 days later, he got a call. He was positive.
Wow.
And he was asymptomatic. He didn't know. But that might, not only may it may not have saved his life because he's asymptomatic, but think of the fact that he has well over 15,000 members. How many people that he possibly could have connected with, contacted, and spread it to. So now he's quarantined. And in that spirit, I decided that I would be the first person tested at my church.
Okay.
Lord have mercy.
We got, how many more hours do we have?
Oh, have you gotten the test yet? Have you gotten yours a test done?
No, I haven't.
That swab, let me put it like this. If they put it any further back there, it would go from being a nasal test to a proctological exam.
I hear it's pretty intrusive. Yeah.
It was relatively uncomfortable. I tell you, I saw the Lord and 3 archangels by the time they were finished with that thing. But so I'm waiting to find out what my test results are. But
Okay.
it was an amazing event.
That's wonderful. And I know it's hard because I'm glad you pointed out that some of us who are asymptomatic, who may not realize we have it, and if you're not exhibiting any symptoms, they're asking you not to come to the hospital.
Yeah.
So
it's real catch-22.
Yeah.
You have to prove you're sick before we tell you you're sick. And
right.
It makes it tough. But in a situation, everybody's saying, and people are talking all sorts of conspiracy theories. Well, they're out to get us. No, they don't have to be out to get us. When you live in a situation where your demographic group abides within the confines of the lowest metrics for quality of life, anything that happens bad in your country is going to impact you disproportionately. It's
true.
The way it works. I mean, if you're working jobs that are more menial and lower paying, that means you have to go to work. You and I can stay home. But a lot of people who work certain jobs, they have to go. That's the only way they get paid.
Right.
So they're more exposed. And that's what's happening in our African American community. At the very least, the government can make sure that we know what exposures are impacting us. But listen, we've got a government that says we have to get our economy started. And when people ethically approach that by saying, but if we try to rush to get our economy started, we will lose lives. And they say, it's okay to lose lives, we just can't lose money.
Money. It's really sad when you hear that.
That's evil.
Life. Yeah.
That's evil.
It really is. It really is. And I understand that, like you mentioned, West was one of several churches that that they're working on. Do you know the plans that they have for other churches? Are they just going to continue to test?
Until and speaking with them last night, and all of the pastors that I know, all of these folks. The church I actually grew up in. I grew up Baptist in Miller Memorial Baptist Church. That was my home, my family's home church. That was one of the churches that was tested right in the heart of another hot zone, Enon Tabernacle in the Northwest. Okay. Mount Airy Church of God in Christ is another. Tomorrow they'll be going to Yesha Fellowship down in South Philadelphia. It's funny because all of these people are good friends of mine. All of these ministers are really good friends, and they all have a heart for the community. They all have a real heart for not simply profile, but for real ministry. And so the doctors who are raising their own money, not being paid for this, volunteering their time, are contacting certain churches where they know that the church is a trusted part of the community. When what did my heart good was when I got there at 8:15, there were cars wrapped around the corner, knowing that West Philadelphia was a place where they would be served, and they felt safe there. There's a health right across the street from the West Philadelphia Church. There is a public health clinic.
That's right.
People aren't coming there to get tested, and they might be able to, but they came to the church because they trust the church. And let me tell you, nothing is more rewarding than realizing that people trust the spirit of your service.
Absolutely. And that goes a little further. I mean, I think they were able to make that connection to the church also because of you. I think it's also important for us as Adventists to sometimes get out of our little bubble and befriend other communities and other denominations so that when the time comes to serve, we're in that circle where we can be of service. And it seems like you're among that circle. So that's a compliment to you as well.
Well, you provided a soapbox now, which I will gladly step upon. Adventist theology creates a situation where we develop transactional relationships with people. Mm-hmm. We befriend you for the purpose of making you what we are. In other words, if you're not becoming what I think you need to be in order to be fully acceptable, then my friendship is going to be exhausted. Rather than befriending you because you are my friend. Mm-hmm. These men, Marshall Mitchell, Alan Waller, Damon Jones, Wayne Croft. These are all ministers within the Philadelphia area of note and of respect and regard. They're my friends. They're not my Baptist friends or my Methodist friends. You know, Damon Jones is my friend. Mark Kelly Tyler, who is the pastor of the oldest continuously owned congregational property in the United States of America, Mother Bethel AME Church, is my friend.
Mm.
And I've been privileged. You know, I wish that I could say that I planned this thing and I had this strategy. I've just been privileged to be the Forrest Gump of Adventist ministers, where I just bump into stuff, and I've had opportunities to meet people and to know people and to fellowship with them, so that there is a level of trust. You know, Marshall had no problem. Marshall Mitchell, who was the clergy coordinator of this event, he picked up the phone, and it was late at night, and the conversation was approximately 40 seconds long. He said, "Hey, Nick, man, look, you know, this coronavirus is killing our people, man, and we've got to start testing in our neighborhoods. And your neighborhood is right in the middle of a hot zone. Would you be willing to let us come and work with us to test?" I said, "Man, you haven't said a word. That's it." He said, "All right, I'll call you later." That was it.
Wow.
You know, that was it. You know, so friendship, friendship, being able to validate another person for who they are, where they are, without them having to become what you need them to be to make them acceptable in your own mind. That's something we've got to work with.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And I mean, and we see what happens when we do that. I mean, this opportunity, I think, was great for Wes to be a part of it. And I'm sure you had support from your church members, you had volunteers.
Yeah. I mean, and the folks, the members were ready to pivot on a dime. You know, "Pastor, what do you need? What do you need?" I mean, it's the tip of we got stuff rolling off. Look, this is no brag, because anybody can do this stuff.
Right.
We're getting ready to launch a community gardening program that is going to be beyond exciting. I mean,
Great.
I am so looking forward to it. You know, community members, 8x8 plots, raised bed gardens, a contest to show who grew the prettiest tomatoes and carrots or whatever.
I love that.
A contest a couple of weeks after that to show who cooked it best. I mean, we have a get out. As a matter tonight, I'm meeting with a group of other ministers about the new, in Pennsylvania, we have a new mail-in voter ballot initiative that will allow us to get more of our people to express themselves in voting. In 2016, the election pivoted in Pennsylvania on 44,000 votes that went to a certain president whose name shall not be mentioned because he's probably injecting bleach right now.
No mercy.
But 44,000 votes. And that lies in the shadow of the fact that 4 million Pennsylvanians didn't bother to vote.
Mm.
And so we're waking up that voting. I mean, there's so many things that are going on that the church gives me permission, my church, West Philadelphia Church, empowers me to interact with other individuals, to shake hands with them, and to say, okay, we're going to work together and make this thing happen. I'm having fun. I'm
encouraged right now because, you know, sometimes we think we get, like you said, we're so accustomed to walls. And so we think we can't do anything until we're back into those walls again. But I'm hearing you all are still planning to be involved in voting, which is something we're trying to help promote from the conference level as well. A community garden, you're not waiting until you're back together as a church to keep planning that. And these are things that can be done now. I think that's
you can do this with social distancing.
Yes.
I mean, these are things I think one of the things that we are learning is how much can be done beyond the constrictions and the imposition of structure that we have used to define ourselves. It's an exciting time. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, I have learned more about how to use technology in ministry now in the last 6 weeks than I have in the last decade.
Wow.
I feel young again almost. Almost.
Yeah, setup looks great.
Operative word is almost. You know.
You carry it well. You carry it well.
Oh, thank you, sis. Thank you.
This has been so encouraging. I can't say enough how excited I am to know that, you know, we have a church and a pastor like that of West and of you that is doing something like this for our community during this time. It really makes me feel proud to be part of a conference that has churches and pastors like this on. And so we just want to applaud you for what you're doing, and also your church members. And keep up the good work, and keep sharing with us those things. I want to hear more about that community garden and all of those efforts you all are doing to promote voting, something that's very important and needed.
I've already repented of being so distant, because I know that I tend to just lay on the fringes, on the outskirts. And when I wrote you back and said it's time for me to be more cooperative, but don't tell anybody. But I promise you, everything that we do from this point forward, that I will make sure you have a pipeline so that you can be aware of it, and hopefully it will inspire some. We've got some extraordinary pastors. I mean, we've got extraordinary pastors. Absolutely. And I hope that it will inspire them to move beyond, to transcend borders and boundaries, to really develop their own excellence and their own vision.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time.
Privilege.
So worth it. Great information, and we're happy to share this story with others.
Thanks
for joining us.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure enough.
All right, and we hope you'll stay tuned. We'll be right back after this next break. Thank you for staying tuned into AEC Today Reports. We're back now with our health segment, and we have our fitness expert, Faye Gregory, with us. Hi, Faye.
Hi, Latasha. Hello, viewers.
We're so glad you came back with us. We always enjoy what you have to share. And today we're going to be talking about strength training. And we know a lot of people right now are trying to build up their immune systems, but strength is also a part of that. And can you share with us what are some of the benefits of strength training?
Okay. Yes. During this time, it's so important to keep our bodies strong. You know, we want to be strong. We want to have strong muscles. We're lifting and picking up and carrying things that we haven't picked up and carried in a long time. We're cleaning, doing more things around the house. As we age, we lose muscle. Strength training helps to burn calories, and it also builds one's endurance levels. We will have better posture, helps you with your posture, and it can increase the proper functioning of bending, reaching, and picking something up. For instance, Latasha and viewers, if we're standing or bending, reaching, or picking something up, holding on to something, we'll be able to hold it longer because we strengthen those muscles. And we're going to feel good about that we're able to hold something longer. It's going to help us mentally. Not only does building our muscles help us to build our muscles, not only does strength training help us to build our muscles, but it helps us to build our confidence and build our self-esteem.
Absolutely. I know whenever I'm working in the basement or moving something in the garage, if I can actually do it myself without having to ask my husband for assistance, I boost like, okay, all right, Tasha.
Exactly, right.
Okay, so that being said, how often should we do strength training? Should this be a daily part of our exercise routine, or what do you suggest?
Okay, research says that we should do it 2 to 3 days a week.
Okay.
At least 2 to 3 days a week to build your muscles. Yes.
Okay, good. And so, we're talking about building muscles. Does strength training require us to kind of bulk up a little bit in doing strength training? Will we automatically have one of those like bodybuilder type of physiques, or not necessarily?
Not necessarily at all, because you're not going to be lifting heavy weights. You're going to be starting off with lightweight, so you don't have to worry about getting bulky. You're just going to build that muscle strength, and you're going to feel stronger.
Okay, awesome.
And more confident about your abilities.
Oftentimes when we're trying something new or an exercise that we haven't really been doing consistently, there's a little bit of soreness that comes after. Is that the same for strength training?
Yes, it is, Latasha. And what I highly recommend is that you warm up your muscles before strength training, as well as warming up, cooling down, and stretching after you finish any type of workout.
Okay. Great, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be doing this workout after we close out this broadcast. But for those who want to join in the workout, which we're going to show right after, what will they need to bring with them to participate?
Okay, you're going to need weights today. Today I'm using 5-pound hand weights. You may start with 3 pounds if you're just starting, or even 1 pound or 2-pound weights. If you don't have hand weights handy, then grab water bottles, soup cans, or cans of beans, whatever you have on hand. If you don't have that today, then it's fine. Just watch me. You can come back to the video at a later time with your weights or whatever you're going to use.
Okay, awesome. This is great. Ready to build up our strength. We're always excited about that. So as we said, after this broadcast, we'll post a video for you to be able to work out with Faye, and we'll also archive it on our website so that you can take advantage of this video anytime. As was suggested, 2 to 3 times a week, you can come back and do your strength training with Faye. So thank you, Faye, for teaching us a little bit about strength training, and we look
Very
forward
welcome, Natasha. My pleasure.
All right, and we ask that you'll stay tuned. We have another brief break before we close. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this episode. We're so grateful to all of our guests who came and shared with us, and we hope that you'll stay connected to us over the weekend. We'll be back here next Tuesday, and we want you to join us. After all, the more you watch, the more you know. Now stay tuned for what's coming up this weekend and beyond.